All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome. Pop Talk. We are the Pundits of Pugilism coming to you once again. This is January the 21st. We're going to be coming out. I am the Professor Nims, the pundit with a PhD in pugilism, if I can get it out. I got my man with the holistic take on this fight game, Coach Dave. All right, man with the best name in boxing media, the Casual Ran. All right, and Boston's only, Bosston Jarod, don't forget the S. All right, we want to thank y'all. We are in episode 10. We want to thank y'all, everybody who stayed with us when we were just in the single digits. Now we're up into the double digits, so we just moving this show right along. We got an exciting time that we're going to make, even though it's a slow time within boxing because there's a lot of news. And this is when you need the pundits to go ahead and dive into this and break it down. So we're going to start off by talking about these moves that Top Rank have made post-Crawford era, and also after the suit that they're facing regarding racial bias. We're also going to, within that, we're going to talk about the Stephen Valdez unification proposed bout. We're also going to talk about the push for Loma to challenge Cam Bussos, and then also talk about the other news around that, and we'll have a chance to interject with some Terrence Crawford news and also some Keith Thurman news. We want to give attention also to Smith, who won his title fight last weekend against Jafar, and he is put out a challenge to Better BF. And we're going to end up by talking about next week, this weekend's fight, I should say, coming up with Gary Russell Jr. He is going to be defending his title. Let me find out where this is at.
In Atlantic City.
Yeah, so he is fighting in Atlantic City. And we will also talk about, he's fighting Mark Magoso, and we will talk about the implications that has for the featherweight division. But before we kind of get into that and give our predictions, we want to jump right into this Top Rank news. We'll let the Casual Ran kind of unpack some of this for us here. But let's first start off with the news of them pushing for the Oscar Valdez fight, and he is going to be they're fighting, they're pushing for the Shakur Stevenson bout in here. So this is for the 130. There's going to be some, it's not totally official yet, but from my understanding,
contracts were signed today, actually.
Contracts were signed today, okay.
Yeah, I think it's for April 30, like late April time frame. The contracts, I think, were signed today, which is amazing. It seems like it's funny how like boxing and boxing promoters have been slow dragging their feet with real excellent fights. There have been some good fights towards the end of last year. Don't get me wrong, but like the fights that we want to see, it was few and far between. And it's funny that when Terrence Crawford bring the lawsuit up against Top Rank, not even a week later, it was like maybe 3-4 days, we get the announcement of the Oscar Valdez, who's been protected by Top Rank for a long time, get thrown to the wolves to Shakur Stevenson. So it's a funny time. It's kind of weird to see that, man. And then if you follow Shakur Stevenson on Twitter, he's been like liking and laughing at a tweet saying when they said Top Rank is racist and they're going to do him wrong, he'll respond, and he's been liking, he's been sending smiley faces. So he's tracking what's going on with the news with Terrence Crawford. He understands he's still signed with them, and it's amazing timing that he got this fight with Oscar Valdez.
Yeah. So before we go into that, because if we think about it, right, Shakur Stevenson and Crawford are pretty close, right? They kind of work under there, so that has a lot of underlying implications. Go ahead,
They
Boston.
both train with Bomac. They both out there in Colorado with Bomac. And to be fair to Top Rank, there was rumors about this fight getting worked out before Crawford dropped the lawsuit. So I don't know that this fight getting made is a response to that. I don't know if the timelines match up because they were talking about making this fight several weeks before that lawsuit dropped. So
yeah, and the fact that it was already made, that or it's already signed at this point, and then we'll try to get verification on that, means to tell me that they've been working on this for at least for a few weeks. Because and maybe when they dropped the news of it, they already knew that they were gonna be signing the fight, surely, because Tehran's point, the casual's point, is that usually you'll hear, they'll put something out there, they'll kind of float this to kind of get a sense, and then we'll have to kind of wait for behind the scenes negotiations. But for them to kind of make this official that quickly says something about the kind of behind the scenes work that may have been going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's two guys under the same promotional banner though. Like it shouldn't take much. I mean, just like when Al wants to make a fight or Eddie wants to make a fight, you just hear about it, right? It's just the fight's been made. Now, when it's cross-promotional, that's when you hear all this back and forth for percentages and side to the street and A side, B side, and all that shit. But when it's two guys under the same promotion, it's easy. Now, interestingly enough, after Valdez's last win, this subject came up, and Bob Arum said I remember him saying very explicitly that, well, I can't make Valdez fight anybody, or something to that effect. I can't make Valdez fight Shakur. Well, lo and behold, something happened. Somebody's making him do this. I don't see any way that Valdez woke up one morning and was like, you know what, I'm gonna fight Shakur Stevenson. I just don't see it. This fight's going to be a massacre. This is going to be Arturo Gatti, Floyd Mayweather level massacre. Like,
I mean, we're saying that, for fighters, right? Fighters never, I ain't gonna say they never, I'd say that, but they rarely think that they're gonna, particularly if they are in their prime. Doesn't matter if you hear all of those noise, but they think no matter what talent that people are seeing there. So I think Oscar gives himself a very, very good chance. But we are talking about a superstar in the making in there. But I think partly he took it because this is going to be his highest payday, and this is the fighter that you want to make your name off of. He is the Olympic. He's the kind of within that lower weight division, he has the most cachet, so to speak. But let's let Coach Dave weigh in on this.
Well, I honestly, okay, so technically you can say, unless you kind of in behind the closed doors, you don't know what's what. But hey, man, look, I think Randy had a point, man. And regardless of whether it was in the making or not, that Terrence Crawford move, I think it, to a degree, Bob Arum might be saying, hey, look, I'm 90-something, I'm rich, I don't give a rat's whatever Terrence can do. But no, but he's still thinking about the possibly legacy of his company when he's gone, and he knows how close Shakur and them, and Terrence are, and you just never know what's on Shakur's mind as well. Is he gonna be out the door next? What the stuff with Crawford, and if Shakur did leave or had some problems, would that hurt Top Rank from getting other up and coming African American fighters that's some cash cows, and I think he just regardless of what you say, he could have really banked even much more off of Crawford. And on the cross promotional stuff, man, look, if Eddie Hearns can do it and make it happen, then why can't others? And Eddie Hearns can make it happen both, on the male side and even the female side. The last fight with Alicia Baumgartner, I think she was she wasn't under. She recently just signed with Matchbox, but she was under a whole Marshall Kaufman, I believe. She was under Marshall Kaufman, whole another promotion company. And look at it happening. So I can't say whether it was in the makings or not, but what I can say is that I think that opened up and caught Bob Arum off guard more than what we might think, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the public nature of it definitely caught him off guard. One is being called out by Terrence Crawford, and then with the lawsuit, just the kind of overall embarrassment of being basically, accused of being a racist within boxing. And when you look at it, and I'm just giving identifiers, he's a 90-year-old, Jewish guy that's in there and that's working with a lot of Black fighters. There's a lot of narratives that can kind of play in there. And then it is going to be his company's job to get in front of that narrative and then try to find a way to change it.
Right.
And particularly if they need to deal with some things. Boxing has a racial problem anyway. We won't kind of get into that, but different companies have different relationships with their boxers. With Eddie Hearn has a kind of unique, he's kind of carved out a unique place in there because to me, he's a lot more upfront than a lot of promoters, in the sense that you'll see him not only at the press conferences, but sometimes he'll kind of lead the press conferences, and he's kind of going there. And initially, it seems that he is kind of focused on bringing the spotlight on him and the company, but he has an ability to not take himself that seriously or do that, but he really does, if you kind of talk to these fighters that work with him, does have a way of looking out for the fighters and trying to do their best for them, and then making these deals. And he seems to be a little bit more upfront and honest than some of these others. And I'll give you an example, is that when the whole debacle with the Tyson Fury and Wilder situation, he said he felt blindsided. I actually think he was being honest. Bob Arum was behind the scenes. Oh no, it's fine. No, it's like we've already worked it out. They don't have any kind of legal standing. And then when the ish kind of hit the fan, he was left. Well, because they had Fury and Joshua had agreed in principle to fight. Remember that?
Right. Okay.
And then because Top Rank had
like,
assured him that no, he was like, because of these dates, our lawyers looked over this and it's fine to go. And I think that Arum was just using him for leverage.
I disagree. I think he tried. I think both of them tried to muscle that fight through when Wilder was sitting. And even like I say that because I just watched a podcast with Lou DiBella, and Lou DiBella was like, every time Hearn mentioned that fight, he would call him and text him, and he was like, there is a contract in place. Wilder will be fighting Fury. You're lying to the public by keep saying Joshua Fury. You are lying to the public. DiBella said that he sent that tweet out at least 20 times. So Hearn knew that, you know what I'm saying?
What's that mean? Somebody, that fight. What does Lou DiBella, I mean, what? Tell me what he has to do with their negotiation.
Because you know what I'm saying, if everybody telling you that there's a contract, everybody knew that there was a contract in place between Wilder and Fury.
Yeah, but just because Lou DiBella tweets that out, that doesn't mean that Eddie Hearn, like, I could tweet that out.
I'm just saying that another reputable promoter is saying, look, man,
your competition.
But so at the end of the day, who was right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know.
What you mean you don't know? Lou DiBella was right because
no. As far the argument was, I was saying who was being honest and who was being upfront. If Eddie Hearn truly believed and he was out there, that was my point.
Yeah, but I don't think he was upfront and honest. I mean, when the contract looking you in your face, it's either you got your head in your sand and you don't need to be a promoter, or you trying to muscle something through and not being forced right. If you honestly think that he just didn't know, then he doesn't need to be a promoter.
No, it had to go through arbitration, and I'm not saying that he might have got out, but he was left kind of holding the bag, and you saw what, because he is in the worst situation, right? His fighter lost. he doesn't have any leverage when it comes to like the kind of heavyweights things. He's just right. He's trying to get his fighters back into the game.
Sort of, kind of. I mean, because Usyk is kind of a promote. He's out in kind of there in no man's land, the same way that Jaron Ennis is. I think. I don't think that Usyk is promotionally aligned with anyone in particular, but he's contractually obligated to fight Joshua. So they've got that. I think that's what you're saying.
He's not that cash cow that
Eddie Hearn
is. You know,
Eddie Hearn, as far as the promoters go, he is definitely one of the more innovative, one of the more progressive.
Yeah,
guys. I mean, he's only 38 years old. He's my age. I didn't realize he was that young. I mean, he's 38. Frank Warren has got to be 70, close to 80. Bob Arum is 90. And Al Heyman ain't no young guy, and neither is Sam Watson. So yeah. I mean, Eddie is the pioneer out here, especially like Dave pointed out in the pre-pro when it comes to the women's boxing. I mean, he's really prioritized and put a lot of emphasis on it. So
we had a Watson reference. Wow, that's
Sam Watson, right? Who everybody thinks is Al Heyman, right?
I know. I'm just like, you kind of put him on a little pedestal just a little bit.
Like, so getting back to
talk about him in the same breath as Al Heyman. It's like,
so getting back to Shakur and Oscar, man. How do y'all see this go? I still can't believe he's actually gonna fight this dude. Like
that's why I'm like Top Rank build up and protected Oscar Valdez till now. And
I don't know about that. He's fought Burchelt. He's fought.
Yeah, he was an underdog his last fight, wasn't he? When he won, he knocked out.
I think in the Burchelt fight, he may have been the underdog.
I think he was. The underdog.
He fought the kid Quigg.
All right, even if so, but his team is known to pick and choose. What's that?
To cheat?
Yeah, his team is known to pick and choose to make sure like the set up right fights for their fighters within the team. But all of a sudden now you got Shakur Stevenson, which is outside of the box of what that team usually does.
Any of them dudes, yeah, all them dudes. Yeah, I really am curious as to how that conversation went down. Like, I mean, this guy just got no chance. He don't even have a punch chance.
Somebody from this team got to fight a killer. Not I. They all got the team. Somebody got to fight a killer.
So there was a fight when, and this is a perfect example because a lot of people are going to do that. When Floyd Mayweather fought Arturo Gatti, right? At the beginning of the fight, I think Bob Merchant said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing. He said, Floyd Mayweather, thinks he's great. And out there, and basically to the effect, Arturo Gatti, wants to find out if he is great, in there. So like, that's what you have to do is like, you have to, when you see somebody who has those skills that are transcendent like that, these fighters want to test themselves and just think about the reward, right? The risk is super, super high, but just think about if he pulls this off.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm saying because you're surprised that he even took this fight. When would he take this fight? When would Oscar Valdez take this fight?
When or why?
When would he? Are you saying he should never take this fight?
If I were handling him, no. I wouldn't put him anywhere near no Shakur.
Shakur's going to move up pretty soon. He only got a couple more fights at once.
Oscar Valdez is 31 years old, right?
Yeah.
He's 30-0 with 23 knockouts. He is, to me, he's at the hottest that he's going to be at this point. He is a legitimate title holder, and I don't think he's going to beat Stevenson. We'll have to get into that. Stevenson is, a lot of people have him paid to be the next pound for pound, the next superstar.
So my thing is he could have waited him out. You know what I'm saying? Stevenson going to move up to 135 within the next couple of fights. So and then he could have just stayed at 130 and just dominated.
So you're saying fight him when he's a little bit bigger and stronger, right? Because you're gonna get that when he gets a little bit more experience. He could have waited him out. No, what you do is Floyd Mayweather, when he fought Canelo, everybody knew Canelo was gonna be a superstar in all this. Floyd Mayweather said, I'm gonna get this guy when he's young, and he's right, and he's like he is gonna be a superstar. But now I'm not. I don't want to put Oscar Valdez in the.
Yeah,
So I'm saying
yeah,
you call it.
yeah.
What I'm saying is that the notion that you're gonna wait this guy out like he's gonna be damaged goods.
I didn't say wait him out to fight him. I'm saying wait him out to he's gonna
it's about the division.
135.
Because y'all don't understand fighters who want to be great. Y'all are just saying like, oh, I can get to the money, I can get to this route. This fighter wants to be great.
I don't think that was the case. I don't think that's
because he's fighting Shakur Stevenson. What are you talking about? How do I know?
He's fighting this guy because somebody from up on high with a lot of power within ESPN probably saw this lawsuit. You guys already talked about it. This fight was nowhere on their radar. They wanted no parts of this kid. I really think that the proverbial gun was put to the back of somebody's head and said, hey, glove up, get ready. This fight's coming in April. And that's from the guy who writes your checks. So that's just my take on it. I understand what you're saying, Cam, about wanting to be great, blah, blah, woo, woo. Boxing is a business.
Blah, blah, woo, woo.
And we will see how this fight plays out. If they chuck that towel in there in the 7th round, you'll know. They showed up because they had to. They gave a good outing. And they're going to pack their bags up and they're going to head up on out of there. Just like a fighter who takes a fight on short notice. You go out there, you do what you're supposed to do, fight as hard as you can, and then that's it. We gave you our 6 rounds, 7 rounds. Now we're going to get up out of here and fight somebody that we actually have a chance of beating.
Right. So one thing, I wanted to try a new thing in our segment and stuff. So we're trying out some of the like technology, but and I think we're good as long as we give notification. But I wanted to Bob Arum talked a little bit about it, but I just wanted to kind of hear him weigh in on that.
So Bob, just like Beterbiev and Smith, I mean, you've got a great fight to be made in the top ranked house, and that is the super featherweight title fight between champions Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. It seemed like previously you kind of wanted to wait on making that fight, but now it seems like it's front of the line. How do the negotiations stand on that at this hour?
Very good. I think it's done.
Really?
Jeremy Kogel, our business affairs guy and general counsel, has sent out the contracts, and we're anticipating they'll come back signed.
What date would you be looking at and venue?
The MGM Grand on April 30th.
Oh, perfect date, right before Cinco de Mayo. Obviously, a lot of people will be out there.
Important, really big day, because it's coincides with the NFL draft, which this year will be held in Las Vegas. So there'll be hundreds of thousands of people come in to be part of the draft. And when the fight goes on, the draft either is over or at least over for the day.
Okay. That's a tremendous fight. I mean, when you really think about it, Shakur Stevenson is someone who, in his last fight, looked basically untouchable. And yet Oscar Valdez, the grit that he showed in just beating down Miguel Berchelt was so impressive, to where you said, like, he's going to be able to catch up to anyone, and if he puts that kind of pressure on Shakur Stevenson, how is Shakur going to deal with that?
That's why people buy tickets to the fight.
Yeah. I mean, how excited are you for this matchup?
I think it's a good matchup. Both camps want it. And it's a lot of ways credit to us as well as the two fighters, because they've had all their fights with Top Rank. And now it's a big showcase fight.
All right. So we're gonna give a shout out to Fight Hype for that segment in there, and so there we said it right there. So all right, both sides want the fight, so we can move on. No, I'm joking.
Don't be surprised if Valdez either pops positive for COVID or pops positive for PEDs in this fight. Don't whoever is the backup, whoever they got waiting to replace him. That's what we should
You
be
are
talking
not.
about.
So you just don't even see the fight happening.
Who
That-
is the possible replacement
Hey,
fighter?
So let me say this again. So all right, so I'm at the and me and Jared ain't bumped heads in a while, man, because
You just gonna do it just for the sake of argument now? Go ahead.
no, I'm not, brother. You know, you've been on point, bro. Hey, you've been on point, baby. So
okay,
but
no problem.
look, no, I think the same thing that when Tank fought Cruz, you know, you thought it was gonna be a walkthrough, and I told you that no, man, the styles.
Mm.
So I'm gonna give my prediction. I'm going to say, man, maybe 8th round, if not earlier, 8th round. Shakur gonna stop this dude, right? I say that, but I'm saying it's gonna be an interesting fight just because of the style of punches that Oscar throws. Now, really, Oscar only got maybe to me, he just got that left hook upstairs or downstairs. That left hook is dangerous.
Fight ending, yeah.
You know, it's dangerous, I think. But where Oscar, I don't think he's scared of Shakur. I kind of like what Cam said. I think he might think he really got a chance, man. But he gonna get dropped because that aggressive. He squares up. He squares up when he gets aggressive. When he swings wild. That Shakur is a straight gonna put on a clinic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's going to be surgical. Like, don't get me twisted and all that. But I think that, and he can be. And when you're a fighter, Dave knows that you almost have to be delusional and thinking about your talents. Like, you'll see somebody be like, "Nah, I can beat him," and I'll be like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" Like, "No, I can beat him. I see something. If I do this, you know, if I put pressure, and you know, with somebody who's a well, quote unquote pretty boxer." You know, the way to beat them is just to get in their face, make it ugly, elbows, headbutts. Think about Castillo against Mayweather 1. You want to, you know, so and then maybe we get lucky with a little injury. You know, that's what Castillo had with Mayweather. They even make that a close fight.
To go against what you're saying, like, I understand that, like, fighters believe in themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. We expect the fighter to believe with themselves, but that's why they have their people with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that Tank is probably the best 135, 140 in boxing. But his handlers are not going to let him fight the top 2 or 3 135, 140. All right, that's the same thing with Oscar Valdez. Even if he does believe he's the best at 130, his handlers should have been like, look, I don't think you want to jump in the ring with him. And I think that's what they've been telling him. I agree with Jared was saying that somebody up high is forcing that fight. And that, I think that what brings it back to this whole segment full circle. I think that the Terrence Crawford reaction, the chain reaction from Terrence Crawford, the domino effect is that Shakur Stevenson is getting the fights that he wants.
I think Shakur Stevenson is a superstar in the making, and he was gonna get these fights anyway. And once again, the guy's 31 years old. I don't know how long he's gonna wait to be great. And his trainer is Eddie Reynoso, so you know he's one of the top trainers out there. But let's segue to and this is like we'll just use this as a jump out, but we'll kind of talk about both the possibilities of who Kambosos is going to defend his titles against. So right now, Bob Arum, Top Rank, is pushing for the Lomo fight. They're really pushing for it because it's all in the media, right? So they're really trying to take over the narrative to the fact that you would think the fight is really close, but I don't think it's close at all. I think they're really trying to negotiate through the media at this point. But what are your thoughts on this fight? So Lomo, from my understanding, Lomo has agreed to go down under Australia. That was a terrible Australian accent. To go down under to have that fight. I mean, I don't look at this as somebody, you know, so there's a phrase where you say that somebody sells their title, where they basically take a fight with somebody that they know is way talented. I don't think that this is that case in here. I think Kambosos. Understand the challenge in front of him, but the fact that he beat the guy who beat Lomachenko gives him a lot of confidence. Well, what are your views on this fight? But you can also tell me if you think that this fight won't get made, or if you think that maybe Haney or somebody else is a better first defense for Kambosos.
Wow. Man, let me whew, God. Dude, I'll be honest with you, man. Doesn't matter whether Lomo lost, whether Lopez lost. Honestly, just put anybody together, man. You know, from Hank, like real talk.
Yeah.
Put anybody together in that division, and man, you're gonna have a good fight, dude. So it's like we can sit here and talk about where he should go. It's like, bro, you just had a buffet and you just, got just choices, man. So let me just kind of say what I think about the Lomo. I think I'm still kind of suspect on Lomo. I'm just still a little suspect on him, man. I just don't think that last fight, the dude really says a lot. I don't know. So I'm still a little suspect on Lomo, man. And I think Kambosos, I would give it 60-40 to Kambosos, man. That's me.
Wow.
Give it to you.
So do you think that he gets the fight? Do you think Lomo gets that fight next?
See, so now, man, you guys know I hate talking about daggone the money side of stuff.
Yeah.
And I go throw it back to Jarod on this one though, but put together any one of the because in boxing it's about the money.
Yeah,
it's about the money. So, but any mixture of the people, that's the point that I'm saying. It's gonna be the same amount of money. It's gonna be
we're gonna
money
win in there. Yeah. So and that's a good. So Coach Davis is like any permutation of those 130, you can just put them in a bag. And whoever you're going to get out, you're going to get a nice treat in there. So do you agree with that? Yeah, go ahead. Finish up, Coach.
This one last point. Let me put it this way. So really, that division is one where if he got this is probably the one time in boxing that where I can say that division is truly about, it might be about just what the people want to see. Because the money, it is so evenly dispersed with anybody you put together. Now it's just like, okay, you know what? It might be good to see it go full circle. I would want to see the Lomo Kambosos fight, and let's try to get this thing, full circle. Lopez, you lumped up, you know what I'm saying? You lumped up Lomo, and then Lopez lumped up, got lumped up by Kambosos. So do we go full circle? All right, Lomo, you get a chance to beat the cat that took your belt that I beat. So in terms of that concept, yeah, I would like to see it because now I can see it going full circles in terms of just the thumpology. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. All right, Bosston Jarod.
No, Loma doesn't get the fight. I don't think Top Rank has it in it. I don't think Bob is still a cheapskate, right? He's still a cheap bastard, right? He's not going to outbid Eddie. And if Kambosos is looking for his best opportunity to win and get paid, Devin Haney offers that. Especially if you bring in Devin Haney, especially if you bring in Devin Haney to your backyard and looking stylistically at how Haney likes to fight off his back foot. And when he is stood in the pocket and try to trade and be entertaining, he's gotten caught and he's gotten hurt. I don't see, we saw what happened when Pacquiao went down to Australia and fought Jeff Horn. Even though I thought that fight was close, the consensus was that Pacquiao got robbed.
I think rob is a strong word.
I do too. But the point I'm trying to make is, hey, you going down to somebody else's backyard with a style that can be, depending on the judges, can be very tough to win. You're going up against a guy with the 3 belts, according to the WBC, 4 belts, right? Because Haney has some sort of pride belt now or some nonsense, and Kambosos is the undisputed champ. So you, Haney, have to go into somebody else's backyard and win off your back foot. That's going to be really, really tough to do. It's going to be tough to do. And I think Kambosos has a good shot at winning. Matchroom has got deep, deep pockets. The Haneys have deep pockets. The Haneys bring some of their own money to a lot of these fights. I mean, they were the ones that gave Jojo Diaz what he wanted financially to make that fight happen. The Haneys, from what I understand, brought their own money to supplement what Matchroom was bringing and said, hey, let's make this fight happen. So I really don't see Bob doing that fight. The other thing is, contractually speaking, right? He'd have to send Loma off of ESPN to go fight on DAZN. Loma's one of their flagship fighters. I don't know how he and whoever Bob answers to would feel about that. So very, very long-winded answer, but the answer is no. I think that Eddie Hearn and the Haneys get this done, and might end up losing the fight.
Yeah, no, I think that was a really strong argument. To me, I kind of saw the Lomachenko fight being made for just a lot of different reasons, but I think that when you look at it in its totality, and when you kind of weigh the risks and the rewards and all those things, and the barriers that you would have to making the fight, I think you made a really, really good argument there.
What's the safest fight? Which one is the safer fight though?
The Haney fight.
I don't think
you're not going to get knocked. You're not going to get stopped in the Haney fight. You know that. And what Jared was talking about, so Haney has what they frame as a spoiling style, right? So he wants to kind of spoil the action. You know, he wants to get in his sharp shots and then spoil the rest of that. And that's hard to win with that style against somebody, you know, in somebody's home country and all those other things. So I think that Haney I think he's easily the most winnable fight.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. I think I agree with most of everything that Jared said, man. But I just, at the end of the day, I just have no faith in boxing, and I think that Bob Arum is going to pull this out somehow. Even though Haney's, they've been on Twitter wars going back and forth. Haney even got went and got the first dose of the shot. He's supposed to be getting the second dose of the shot in a couple weeks, just so he can go to Australia. Y'all notice the Djokovic thing that's going with the on the tennis side.
Yeah, the Australians aren't playing around with that shit.
Yeah, Australia doesn't play around with that. So he went and took a dose of the shot just so he could stay online on track to get in the Kambosos fight.
Who was that? Who was that? You said
Haney.
So
Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum is actually trumping. He's out there promoting this fight for Lomachenko. So I don't know about the kind of contractual with ESPN, but in the long run, it makes sense. If ESPN can break him off with one fight, he goes down there and get all the belts, and then now he's back on ESPN as a 3-belt, 4-belt champion. You know what I'm saying? Four-belt champion for the foreseeable future. So in the long run, that's a gamble that I think any businessman take. You know what I'm saying? ESPN, Top Rank, all of them above, they all take that gamble. Like, look, we'll figure a way for Lomachenko to go out there and win the belts and come back. Kambosos, okay, he beat Teofimo, but I honestly believe Teofimo went in there and lost. He beat himself. You know what I'm saying? His whole game plan was garbage. So and he got beat up before this fight. Before the fight with Teofimo, we wouldn't even put him in the top 5. So now he beat a person that he lost the fight, that the person came in there shitty. I don't put him in, you know what I'm saying? I
got
still
the
haven't
belts. I
seen
mean,
enough
that's why we fight the
Kambosos.
fights. Yeah, it's like it's good. You
I
can
still
have
haven't
all
seen
the
enough
other.
Kambosos to say that, yo, he might can pull it off against Lomachenko, or he might can pull it off against Haney. The way it's setting up now, it sounds like he's going in with the highest bidder, like, yo, this is gonna be my payday. You know what I'm saying?
No. I mean, but like that was my point at the beginning. Like I said, I don't think he's selling his title. I think he can beat Haney. I think that he thinks he can beat Lomachenko. I think he can beat Haney. So
We'll see.
But I think
the
that
guy sparred with Pacquiao, right? The guy's been in Pacquiao camp. So when you've been in there with a guy like that, man,
True.
that gives you a lot of confidence.
It gives you a lot of confidence, And like Haney, he doesn't have to worry about Haney stopping him with like Lomachenko. Lomachenko's gonna have you turning the whole fight, and then you're gonna turn your head and you're gonna just run into a punch, and that is gonna hurt a lot.
And Lomachenko's been in the weight room.
Yeah, so it is like
Haney way faster than Kambosos.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, where Haney has kind of heavy feet. He doesn't pivot and turn nearly as much.
Man, but that hand speed,
and he's gonna be the hand speed is good, but you on the back foot. Lomo,
one shot.
Like Lomo is the thing about Lomo is a pressure fighter. That's the thing that people like. He's a boxer, but he's a pressure fighter. Like
it's
Lomo,
mental pressure too.
It is
it's
mental
not just
pressure.
the physical pressure; it's the mental
mental
pressure.
Yeah, like
he's on you, man, and he's moving, he's pivoting, his motherfuckers all over the fucking place. Devin Haney, and I've said this already. Devin Haney to me is a poor man's Edeslandi Lara. Edeslandi Lara's legs and his jab and his straight left hand took him further than any fighter I can think of. Dave, you a little bit older than me. Maybe you can think
Larry
of
Holmes, man.
You said what?
Larry Holmes, man.
Larry Holmes had less. Okay, Larry Holmes didn't have the legs that Lara has.
He has
obviously,
some pretty good legs. He has some pretty good. When he was
he
young,
didn't have legs like Lara, man. Lara,
no, not like Lara, but you know, for a heavyweight, tell you like they would tell you like Larry can move. Yeah,
fair enough.
But
go ahead, Dave.
No. That jab took. I mean, I hear you, man. I just kind of want to say, I think I don't know what it is, man. My gut is saying, I think I kind of want to see Lomo fight Kambosos because, like you said, we didn't know, the guy. We weren't putting the guy in the top 5, and I think that'll be a good test of really seeing where Lomo is at. That last fight
would be.
Huh?
You think Kambosos is the litmus test for Loma?
No. Well, yes, if that's the case, in terms of the lower echelon of them, much better.
What he's saying is like, is he can he separate himself from that? Because we think of him as top tier. You know what I'm saying? But Dave's point, he was like, I'm not sure if he's still there, and we shouldn't put too much into his last performance. So, but he's saying against Kambosos, who's undefeated, is out there and shouldn't be on the level. So he should dominate somebody like him. Right. And if he doesn't, and so that's what he's saying, is that not like, he gets to another level, but he just like, we want to see where he's at. So this is a good, and I think his point is true. Like Comey was damaged goods, right? We don't want to say that. Comey was damaged goods. So to look good against damaged goods, you're going to do that. But Kambosos is fresh and he's young, he's undefeated.
But he didn't look good against Comey though. He looked good against the Japanese kid who stopped Felix Verdejo and gave Teofimo a tough fight.
So I don't want to see the land fight. This for being selfish, because I'm afraid that if, let's say, Lomachenko goes out there and win the belts and come back, do we see him turn into a Triple G?
We see Shakur. We see Shakur Lomachenko.
I don't see that. I'm saying that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. But I perceive Triple G, like they top rank sit on those belts.
Randy, you is negative. Oh my God, bro! It's like
Loma ain't built like Loma and Triple
Randy
G.
is the Grinch of boxing.
Man, because you know what I'm saying, it's happening. You know what I'm saying? There's more fights being sat on the way I think about it than the great fights that would be possibly made than the way y'all think about it.
But remember, Randy, with Triple G got ducked early in his career. He was deprived of a payday against.
I'm talking how old is Lomachenko right now?
34.
Yeah, I thought like 33, 34, I think.
So it's more in his best interest to sit on fights and maybe fight one good fight a year.
No, it's not. I'm trying to explain to you why. No, that's I'm trying to explain to you why. With Triple G, he was deprived paydays in his prime. Didn't get the payday till he was out of his prime. He got those big paydays against Canelo, right? He finally got those belts back. And now it's a risk reward thing for him. He's trying to get as much money for as many fights as he can left. Loma's never got a payday. Loma, I mean, he's making good money. He never made the money that Triple G made fighting Canelo. And I think a Shakur Stevenson fight might be the biggest payday in his life. That might be a pay-per-view fight.
A Tank pay-per-view, but I think he's too small for Tank.
Or a Tank pay-per-view, right? Or a Tank pay-per-view. And so watch how quickly Tank takes that fight. If Loma comes back with them belts.
So this is a good segue to our last few minutes. We got about 10 minutes, I think, in there, maybe about 15 minutes, I should say. So Gary Russell Jr. is fighting coming up, and so it's interesting because his opponent is Mark Magoso.
Yeah,
Maxayo, I'm sorry, but
Maxayo,
Maxayo. Yeah, but if you talk to him, he said Gary Russell says if I can make 2 fights, I'd want Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko, and I'm calling cap. This guy fights once a year, and you want to fight Lomachenko and Tank Davis? This is his story to me. I've been highly critical in my previous split decision show. But this is what Gary Russell does. He goes and fights somebody who I struggle to pronounce the name, and no disrespect on there, but then he goes into the media and he talks a lot. He says he wants to fight Gervonta. If he could make a fight, he would fight Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko. Now, who thinks that he can't make those fights if he really wanted them? That is so, but I don't want to let my further take over too much, but all right. So, but let's so we can kind of talk about the fight coming up this weekend, but also within the context of how Gary Russell Jr. sits within the featherweight, because he's officially at 126.
He's at 126, yeah.
But he's from that, it sounds like he's willing to fight at 130. Any thoughts on this upcoming fight, or how he would potentially fare against the Lomachenko, who he did lose to, his only professional loss, and Tank Davis?
I don't foresee Lomo doing a rematch. There's no money in that. You know what I'm saying? It's already been done. He already beat him. There's nothing to gain by beating him, fighting him again. But there's several fights that Gary can take. He can. What about Leo Santa Cruz? That's in his own division, or even if he want to step up the 130, they have that new Japanese fighter that just got the IBF.
He's matchroom though.
But it's still there. You know what I'm saying? Like Gary really isn't.
It's there, but is it really there? Like we gotta, again, I know Dave hates the shit, but I don't see. I mean, he wouldn't go over there for Devin for whatever reason. He wouldn't go over to the zone for Devin because that was the shit he was talking was I'll fight Devin Haney. That didn't happen.
Of course.
It's tough for me to see him going over there to fight this guy.
I mean, but he ain't
Ogawa.
He ain't got that many options. I mean,
well, he does.
He has all the options. The guy would not fight.
I say his best option, he should fight Leo Santa Cruz.
Well, here's the thing. So
check
this out. Chris Colbert is scheduled to fight Roger Gutierrez for the WBA belt next month.
That's at 130.
That's at 130. So what I'm thinking is that Gary vacates, and if Colbert takes care of business against Gutierrez, and I think he's expected to, you might see Chris Colbert, Gary Russell for that WBA belt here in the fall.
That makes sense.
The other fight that you could make And this will be a nice little fight. I should get a percentage if this fight gets made. You've got Stephen Fulton, who is a unified champ at 122 pounds, the WBC, the WBO. The other guy, Murazhan Akhmadulayev, is a matchroom fighter, and that fight ain't getting made. Stephen Fulton, I don't see him with 2 belts going over there to DAZN and fighting this guy for undisputed. So if you're Stephen Fulton, do you vacate and move up and fight Gary Russell for his WBC belt? You got Philly versus DC. They can do that shit in New York. That's a big fight. I will be there. I will be there for that fight for Stephen Fulton and Gary Russell. That's a big fight.
I don't know if that's a big fight. That's a good fight.
Now, when I say big fight, I mean big for Gary Russell and Stephen Fulton.
No, because this is Gary Russell. He's gonna cap, like he wants to fight all of these dangerous guys, and then we're gonna be satisfied. Like you said that was a big fight. That's not a big fight. That's gonna be a blip on the radar when it comes to the boxing community. Gary Russell Jr.
Stephen Fulton and Gary Russell is a blip.
Yeah, if he fights Stephen Fulton, yes, because he should be fighting the Tanks and the Lomachinkos and Oscar Valdez's of the world. And this guy, to me, just refuses to fight. This guy was in. We've been talking about Gary Russell for years. This guy has skills, blind skills, and will not fight anybody.
I don't think it's that, Cam. I think it's that Gary Russell gets paid a shit ton of money for a guy who can't sell any tickets. This guy's getting paid, I think, 1.2, 1.3 for guys like King Tug and Jojo Diaz, and he's not a commodity. He doesn't make any money. So if you're Al,
he doesn't want to be great.
Jamal Charlo makes a ton of money to fight Antonio Banderas and whoever else the fuck he's fighting. That's why you see guys like Jamal Charlo sitting around for a long time, because I don't think these guys are the commodities that warrant the type of checks they're getting. So I think that's part of it. The other thing that I had mentioned to when you stepped away was that Gary Russell's father is not doing well. He's not 100% physically. He recently had his foot amputated, and from what I understand, that he has assumed head trainer positions for both of his little brothers. So I don't know if that has impacted him fight-wise over the last 2 years. Might be giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I think that's something that is worth mentioning to anybody who is out there listening, because to Cam's point, the guy hasn't fought in almost 2 years. And, I think you got to factor everything in there, But yeah,
Gary Russell, yeah, so this is somebody who I think is missing out. He's 33 years, right? 33 years old.
Yeah, he's the same age as Demetrius. Him and Terrence and Demetrius were all in that trying out for the Olympic team.
So he didn't fight in 2021.
The 2016 Olympic team.
He didn't fight in 2021, fought one time in 2020, fought one time in 2019, fought one time in 2018, fought one time in 2017, fought one time in 2016, and fought one time in 2015. This has been this guy's hallmark. The last time he fought more than one fight in one calendar year was 2014. That's on him. But we'll go ahead. So we're getting close to in this segment. But Coach Dave, you have any views? And I guess you probably run into their camp and stuff during some of your.
No, I've been up in that camp, and actually I had a hey Randy, you remember Top over at when we was over at on him. He's the one that introduced me to Gary. So I had a Masonic brother that introduced me to that whole camp. So, and plus I was trying to get one of my fighters to fight the younger brother, but kicking aside real quick, just making fights and who's promoting who and stuff. I mean, the guy's already fighting, he's fighting this Magosayo, however you pronounce his name.
Yeah, Mark Magosayo.
But I think just across with the welterweights, because I love the 122, 126. I mean, that's where I made my champion at. I think across the board, you know, I can't remember the guy in the UK name. Let me try to look this guy up. Not the UK or he's a Ukrainian or something, man. So there's the Mexican guy.
And this is at featherweight you're talking about?
Yeah, this is right at 126. I think there's Navarrete or something like that.
Yeah, Navarrete, the guy with the long ass arms. Yeah.
Yes, Navarrete. You know, so I just think that he can do stuff. There's the other cat. Has he fought that? God damn, Magdalena, not Magdalena, Magdaleno or something like that. The cat like 25, and the cat is like either 25 and 0 or 24.
You talking about Jesse Magdaleno? Yeah, he's 2081. Yeah, with 18 knockouts.
So and those are only two that really kind of come to mind, honestly, straight off the cup. But I think they could. I think he could. A lot of fights out there to be made, and I think to Jared's point as well. But to Cam's point, though, I'm more so with Cam. Where you at, man? I mean, who are you, Heyman? I mean, to me, Gary Russell's not a fighter that you just put on the shelf. But for some reason, he's not fighting. So I think he might have some choices in that, if that makes sense.
I think that makes perfect sense. So that's a good way. That's a perfect way to kind of wrap up our episode 10. So we didn't kind of get to, but it wasn't really news, which was Joe Smith, won his late replacement title fight, and he made a call out to Better BF, and of course there's the Canelo carrot, pun intended, that is dangled out there. But I'm not sure that Joe Smith. I'm not sure that Joe Smith is going to be able to get kind of a piece of that at this point. He doesn't really have the name. He should have, back when he had, flung Bernard Hopkins out the ring, he could have, built off of that momentum. But with that said, we want to thank y'all for joining us. This is our episode 10. Y'all been rocking with us. We got some new stuff. I want to give a shout out to Coach Dave, who was working on a really, really cool intro for us. Also, we're working on some music. And like I said, we're going to be bringing in videos and also interviewing some kind of local representatives of the boxing community, whether they're fighters, trainers, or even promoters, where, like Dave, who wears a few different hats in there. So anybody want to leave something for our Pop Talk audience before we head out?
Man, slow week, man. We got Demetrius and Jeanbek purse bid for the WBO 160-pound title tomorrow in Puerto Rico. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Hey, isn't the White Fury purse bid supposed to be announced in like tomorrow also?
Yeah, I don't think that's
no.
Well, that's going to arbitration, and they're gonna, White's not gonna accept that. But like I say, he really kind of shot himself in the face with that. So he's looking for a 55-45 split.
Yeah.
So which makes the Terrence Crawford Spence thing sound even more ridiculous.
Oh boy.
But we'll say that to a next 7. All right. This is Professor Nims signing out for Coach Dave, the Casual Rant, and Bosston Jarod. And we are out.
We're sticking around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.